Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. We have my friend Kevin Bailey here. He's co-founder and CEO at Dreamfuel. Dreamfuel is the mental performance platform for founders and CEOs. He's a 3X Inc. 500 founder, cool guy altogether, dad of 4 kids, and was my client for some time. I really much enjoy his mind. We built this meditation group together. Always optimistic guy, but also very much realistic and no bullshit type of human being. So gonna get to know him finally. And I'm surprised I didn't have you on the pod yet, Kevin, that we waited like 6 months to do it. Or maybe you was on my pod sometimes ago.
We got on a long time ago, but
yes, that was like 3 years ago. Anyway, give us a quick intro about who you are and why you built Dreamfuel.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Bailey, CEO and co-founder of Dreamfuel. My co-founder is Anna Heine. She was a former pro athlete, 8-time All-American, neuroscience from Notre Dame. I am finishing my master's in applied neuroscience at King's College, and we are helping build an industry for founders and CEOs that's similar to the industry that was built in professional athletics to bring what's called mental performance coaching to founders and CEOs. It is not therapy or mental health coaching. Mental performance coaching is teaching people the mental skills that they need in order to consistently perform at a peak level under a lot of pressure. Athletes are always under a lot of pressure, so are founders. Our coaches and our tools and technologies are built to help founders deal with the incredible pressure they go through and to consistently perform at their best rather than the sine curve of ups and downs, performing good one day, poor the next, this type of stuff. You can narrow that down to the top level and kind of keep it up there. Obviously in sports it's important. You can't have your QB doing this, and we believe you can't have your CEO doing this either. So
yeah, sports analogies are so on point here. So let's start with that one. So I recently got myself a fitness coach because I have this new goal of reaching 200 pounds of almost pure muscle. I'm 170 pounds now, and my normal weight's 150. Yeah, and the example up to yesterday, I was like not so bullish on the goal because my trainer was like, "Yeah, dude, this is not possible in 3 months." Granted that you're 5'8", right?
You want to do that in 3 months?
Yeah, but I went from 150 to 170 in like literally 3 weeks. So I think it's possible. But anyway, yesterday I remembered Matt Fraser. Matt Fraser is 5'7", and he's a CrossFit champion at 200 pounds, which is exactly my goal. I don't want just to be like Mr. Muscle, right? I want to have a functional shape because I have ultra goals. And I reminded myself to buy his book, and a quote in his book is like, his only objective in life and everything that would justify his decisions was, will this decision help me win the CrossFit Games, yes or no? And if no, he didn't do it. And he did that for 5 fucking years.
Yeah.
And more. So yeah, what do you have to say about that? And what kind of founder do you know that are that extreme with like that one goal? Would that lead me to a $100 million exit in 3 years from now? And can we even make these analogies, right? Because the business world is so much more complex than winning the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities and there's some differences, and I think the odds are a little more stacked against founders in some ways. If you're looking at most athletic endeavors, there's an off season. There's a true period of recharge. Founders don't have that. This game is 24/7, always on, and it always goes. And it's normally the run. If you think of it in terms of seasons, 7 to 10 years. So that's a long season. So there's a little differences like that. Obviously, people are watching you live, millions of people. You have this whole audience vanity thing going. It's a little different, Everybody sees you having the yips when you're putting for the PGA Tour. Just your investors and board members see you when you get the yips in a boardroom and start to show you're depleting a little bit. So there's certainly differences. I think what you brought up is interesting. Having that kind of a backboard that's so clear. I think for a CrossFit athlete or a pro athlete, that's great. It can get a little more muddy when you have a family. Like I have 4 kids, for example. So when we coach founders who have families and have other priorities outside of just the business, you do have to figure out how to integrate those together. So it's always a nuanced thing. But yeah, I mean, what you just talked about, having a direct backboard to throw every decision off of, is incredibly focusing. And the most elite performers have one thing to focus on, I've found.
It's super interesting, right? Because like you just said, I don't think this kind of goal scales, and that's why Matt Fraser recently retired. I think it's pretty much known that he had no life out of this. So I don't think it scales as a goal, right? So I think it's important to define your goals, but he's a GOAT. He's the greatest of all time in CrossFit. Will his record stay? Not sure. Will that mean something in 200 years from now? Not sure. So I think it's, the importance of choosing your goal. On the other side of things, you might have watched Aaron Rodgers. Is that, his name, the QB? Amazing guy. And this guy, yes, he wants to be a GOAT, but he's also searching for his own truth, right? Going on ayahuasca retreats, very much into the esoteric realm and breathwork and all of that. Have you watched the documentary, and what do you have to say on this guy's system?
I haven't watched the documentary yet. I've heard a lot about him. He's certainly talked about a lot in a lot of circles. I'm very familiar with Aubrey Marcus, who's the guy he did ayahuasca with, founder of Onnit. I mean, that guy's pursuing so again, priorities. Okay, you got these buckets. I think of it as buckets. So it's where you think of them as like little bar charts. You get these different priorities in your life. For me, I got my company, I got my family, and I've got my pursuit of my spiritual pursuit, which is God. Whatever you want to call that. And my time gets spread among those three. I personally try and go God, family, business. So at where I'm at, third startup, been through an exit and stuff, Dreamfuel is incredibly important to me, but it is number 3, behind God, behind my family. For Aaron,
isn't it all interrelated? Isn't like one field helping the other? Because
certainly they're interrelated, but sometimes you got to make tough decisions, and they can go either way. Like this holiday, I had to make the decision to put the business first for a little while. And obviously it's important with the family, this business is currently, my primary source of income, for example. So, I decided to put my business first for the holidays. So I worked all holidays. My family went there to my in-laws and stayed there for a little while. So I was able to do some deep focus work, and that benefited them. That benefited the business, obviously. So these buckets, but you think you have so much energy, and it gets distributed between these buckets. So in Aaron Rodgers' case, that God spirituality bucket is important to him, and so is being a professional quarterback. There's some synergies there. I mean, some people believe that we live in a quantum ecosystem, so to speak, and that your spiritual endeavors do benefit you on this material plane. Some people think that's bullshit. I believe that the other way. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers is vetting that out and feeling that out himself. But there's some people who are quarterbacks who they got one bucket, and it all gets poured into being the best quarterback.
Right. Yeah, and a striking example of Aaron Rodgers was like him missing the mandatory preseason and going to Egypt to find his like spiritual animal or something. That's like so interesting. I think the guy can allow himself to do that, right? Because he knows that people are starting to understand that. But I think also the best athletes of all time, they're taking from different disciplines and they're highly intellectual. For example, George St. Pierre and Firas Zahabi, his coach, right? They constantly talk about philosophy, history of war, spirituality, and so forth. So I do think they bring all of that goodness into one. And I think that vice versa. I think some of the best CEOs out there prioritize fitness and health in their life because they know that this gives them energy to perform better, right?
That's plenty rigorously studied. I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, we're talking about spirituality, which has been studied. I think there is neuroscientific evidence that people who have some faith, some spirituality perform better. But the fitness thing is undisputable. I want to say something. I lost it. It'll come back.
Spirituality, I think it's like when the stress gets that high that even with fitness you cannot bring your shit together, I think that's a very a humongous plus.
Yeah, spirituality is great for stress regulation. The thing I wanted to say is Phil Jackson did a great job in the 90s of bringing meditation to the Bulls, which allowed those superstars to get along with each other. And, back then he was looked at as kind of a quack for doing that. Now, obviously, it's much more well understood and well known. But he brought a lot of, in that case, Eastern practices and Eastern traditions to the Bulls to get Jordan and those, type A's getting along and winning championships. There's a good example of where it was effective.
Yeah, I mean meditation, and personally, we've talked about my motocross addiction, but I think one of the most exciting sport is like MMA, and it's one of the most dangerous, right? And there's many athletes, some controversial ones, Connor or Sean O'Malley, that are huge on meditation and visualization, right? Like I haven't done that much of visualization as of late. It's like picturing yourself winning, of course, picturing yourself connecting a shot, dodging, reacting to some certain way. What would be some visualizations for founders? Is it like a visualization that you haven't got the funding, that you have got the funding? What's your visualization stack for founders?
Yeah, a great question. I mean, there's many different types of visualization in academia. It's called imagery. Rehearsal imagery is really well studied, which is what you talked about. So visualizing yourself doing the perfect golf swing over and over again, you're going to have a better golf swing. You do that, the perfect free throw. Long-term creative visualization, visualizing achieving goals is one that we often do. Very good for boosting confidence, rewiring behaviors. So if you have a maladaptive behavior or a limiting belief or something like that, it's easy to use visualization to overcome those and start taking positive actions. If you have like maybe a strong fear of failure, I mean, you're trying to stay in flow state, and when pressure gets too high, you get out of that band. When pressure's too low, you get out of that band. So you kind of got to use visualization as a tool to keep you in that band. I think, the one you talked about, visualizing failure, a person who's like into like law of attraction or quantum weirdness might be like, that might be bad. But the neuroscience is a little different on that. If you're somebody who is procrastinating, maybe being lazy, not motivated enough, seeing yourself failing can be a big boost. Now, it's going to boost a lot of adrenaline into the system, some dopamine, and kind of puts you in a little bit of I believe it puts you in a little bit of a flight response. But it's kind of like nitrous, I would say. So like with a car, I'm a car guy, like nitrous can blow your engine up, but it can also give you a lot of horsepower, depending on how well built your engine is. It's kind of like how well built your mindset and body and fitness is. So yeah, you can visualize failure and really boost yourself up to get like kind of that nitrous going for a few days, few weeks. Positive visualizations are the bread and butter, in my opinion, though.
The secret, the law of attraction, I want to call bullshit on that one, like 80% bull. I mean, it's been a guiding light in my life, but I cannot say that one, it's immediate. I would love to see the science. I think the pervasive thing on that one is that you constantly feed serotonin and endorphins to yourself. Oh, this fancy car, this fancy house is like porn, especially when you have an addiction, an addictive personality is like comfort, right? So I want to hear you on this thesis. And second, I love anti-goals nowadays. I use ChatGPT extensively, as you know, and I have an enemy GPT that is like a list of people that I know I'll sort of compete with, people my age, billionaires that are my age, for example. I have a hater GPT, which is basically someone that takes all of my shit and criticizes it in a not so respectful way. And I have an urgency GPT, which is like, okay, today OpenAI just got like 10,000 new subscribers and just made 25 million. And every day that I start, I ask them like light a fire under my ass, right? And I love this not only because it's motivation. I think you need to be emotionally mature to have these. but also everyone that's successful will have haters, right? So you sort of regulate your response and not create too much cortisol out of this. So I want to hear you, one, on the secret stuff. Do you think it's bull with the way I describe it? And second, give me your thoughts on the systems I just put forward there.
Yeah, I like those ideas. What you're doing with the GPTs, that's kind of fun.
It's really fun.
I think you're habituating yourself to criticism there, to where it's not going to sting as much when you get it. You're kind of giving yourself a little bit of a laboratory to play with your stress response. And I think over time, if you can manage to regulate yourself as ChatGPT talks crap to you, you'll find yourself not feeling so hurt by open criticism that's real from a human.
Which is good and bad, right?
Now, if you don't regulate yourself as ChatGPT's talking crap, you're going to create wounds and trauma. So you actually have to be, I'm assuming you like focus on your breathing, relaxing your stomach, calming your nervous system. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like any form of therapy is trying to get you to regulate your nervous system as you relive a tough experience like PTSD, or that's why MDMA assisted therapy is so popular. It's like puts you in a nice mindset as you relive a terrible experience, so that your brain can depotentiate to down regulate your response, because you're like, oh, he's okay with that situation that happened now. Well, same thing's kind of happening with you when you're doing those negative GPTs. So you got to focus on being cool as you're getting trash talked to you by a robot. You're funny, dude.
But it's microdoses, okay? It's microdoses. It's not like I'm focusing on the response and I'm in a bad mood. So yes, but very relevant what you just said.
That's fun, man. I mean, you're a really creative dude. Like that's a fun little laboratory you're building there for your mindset.
Thanks.
As far as law of attraction goes, I mean, that's a touchy, hot, very mysterious and very hated on, but also loved topic. I'm Catholic, so Catholics believe in some aspects of law of attraction, but they believe in a creator God who will manifest through prayer. A person who is not Christian or not in a formalized religion, but believes in a quantum law of attraction concept, would believe that they create their entire reality. I mean, at its most basic root, that your thinking, thoughts, feelings, emotions somehow quantumly interact with the external environment, that it's inside out, and that it's a complete reflection. Some people call it like a time-delayed mirror of what's happening inside of you. So somebody who's a law of attraction person might be like, you who believe in a Christian God is actually manifesting the Christian God, who then interacts with you on an external environment and gives you these signs and wonders or whatever, miracles that you might profess as being an important part of your faith. Somebody who is on the religious or Christian or any religion, Islamic, might say that you're missing the entire point, and that you're basically doing a form of prayer that a loving God is nice enough to execute for you in some cases, while he's trying to draw you toward him or toward love, which God is love in Christianity. So there's kind of like two schools of thought there. But anyway, a neuroscientist might have a completely different understanding and say, yeah, I mean, you're tuning your reticular activating system to constantly be reinforcing and confirming the beliefs you have. So you think that you're experiencing miracles, but it's really because you're tuning your subconscious mind to only pick up on positive things that you visualized. So there's multiple camps that are around that topic.
It's a big melting pot. The law of attraction is certainly part of my algorithms, just like it's a small percentage, right? And my wife is Christian. I was raised a Catholic, and to me, religion nowadays is really interesting to study it, right? If you put God forward, that's giving before you receive. Isn't that like the best business law? that to
Oh, yeah,
receive some
yeah.
clients you need to give
The
before, right?
reciprocal nature of karma, so to speak, you know. Yeah, but I mean, I whether you call it law of attraction or prayer or whatever, certainly had numerous things that I would consider to be outside of the statistical probability of impossibility
Same
happening.
here.
I'll give you one example. This one is a Christian one, but like I became Catholic in 2018, and I baptized myself in a bathtub by myself in 2016. As I did that, this was just because a friend asked me to do it. He's like, "You should be baptized." So I went and asked my wife's uncle, who's a priest, to be baptized me. He's like, "Are you willing to become Catholic?" And I was like, "No, I have no interest in that," you know. And he was like, "Well, then I can't baptize you." So I Googled it, and you can baptize yourself. So I did it. And as I was coming out of the bathtub, I was just rising up out of the water. I was looking forward. My wife uses this cup to put salt in the bathtub. And it's normally in a salt container, so I never really ever see it. But I came up, and as I was looking forward, you know, looking at this cup that I've never seen before in my life,
Century 21, baby.
I saw this word. You read that?
Redemption. Oh,
Redemption.
shit.
It says Redemption Brewery. So this cup is from a like a Boo and Brew thing in Carmel, Indiana. It's a little festival. But I was like, redemption, that's a weird word. I know Bob Marley made a song about it, you know, so I knew kind of what it meant, but I like Googled it. And
it's a powerful word.
Yeah, the
it's
definition.
A very, very powerful word.
Yeah, God's plan for the salvation of humanity. So the day that I baptized myself in my bathtub, the first word I read was redemption. So then I pick up the cup and I'm looking at it, and the next thing I see is this. It's Three Wise Men Brewing Company. So I was like, all right. And what is this thing? It's a cup, you know, Grail. So like at my own self-baptism, I read those two things, which are highly biblical, and I'm holding a cup. So that was enough for me to like follow through and become Christian. Like, you know, was that a miracle? Statistical probability of reading that word, which is the meaning of baptism, is just beyond probability. Add in the words and the cup, all the symbolism there. That was enough for me. So it's like once in a while, we humans have these events that are transformative where we're interacting with the environment in a way that doesn't make any sense.
And do you believe in aliens?
No, you want to go there?
Yes or no?
How can I not believe in aliens? Come on.
There you go. So I think that people that do not believe in aliens or that there is some kind of God are out of bounds. I think not thinking in a God is sort of being an angry atheist, sort of, which I was before. And I think there is something more powerful than us, right? I do have a God myself. It's probably more an alien of some type, but I do I do affirm that there is something out there way more powerful.
God's not of this world, correct?
God is, I think it's pretty much everything at this point, at this stage of consciousness.
By definition, you know, God is beyond this world. It would be an alien, right?
Yeah, it's there. It's pretty much everywhere, but it's certainly way more powerful than us. And I think it's arrogance when you think that you're the most powerful beings and that all of that is BS, right? I do know that people have a mixed background, mixed feelings with the church, right? With what happened in my native Quebec, for example, with the Catholic Church and the priests and all of that stuff. But I think it's spirituality, whether it's meditation, whether it's being grateful as well, and prayer. You mentioned prayer. Prayer is powerful. It's just like being thank you for everything, right? And having this entity with us everywhere we go, right? Everywhere we go, it's with us in the toughest moments as well. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I'm definitely a proponent through personal experience of, like I said, I've only been Catholic since 2019. I learned to meditate in 2009.
Yeah.
I've studied a lot of world religions. I'm a fan. My life's been better ever since, for sure.
How is your 2024, and what are you projecting for this year?
Yeah, 2024 was kind of a mixed bag for me. We had our fourth child, which was amazing, but also whenever you have a child, it's a ton of pressure.
Oh yeah,
It messes all your routines up. You got to build new ones. Certainly stresses out your partner, stresses you out. So had to really lean into every tool I have. I was blessed enough to be able to take some real time off. I had my team in place that was strong enough to be able to do the heavy lifting for a while, as I kind of, was really there for my son for a few months. We had a couple of our large enterprise clients got acquired and scaled back some campaigns. So I had to really step up on a sales front to continue growing and replace that revenue. Hadn't been through that yet as a business. I've been through that in prior companies. You get leverage to big companies and big clients. And then, so we got a little over leverage there. So that was a hero's journey selling through that. Very bullish about 2025. I feel like I've been telling myself we're entering a new dimension of awesomeness. And I love the energy of it. Been crushing it. We are beyond product market fit and starting to get into scale. So it's all about marketing now. It's all about figuring out how to reach more people, help them understand the benefits of mental performance coaching for founders, which it's not something that, like I said, is a highly discussed topic. So kind of it's market building stuff right now, which I'm doing a lot of and enjoy.
You're in a good niche, just like who in the founder and CEO world is at the 1% elite athlete level, right? And I think I mentioned the keyword there, 1%. There's even in CEO and founder realm, which is high performance, most of us would think, right? It's high stress, it's high performance, you're by yourself. Only 1%, I think, really take this seriously and want to go to Olympic levels and are willing to pretty much do anything to reach their goal. And I think it's a noble goal, by the way.
Whatever that edge is. I think it's funny too. One of the founders I coached for about a decade through a big exit for him, David Duram at Greenlight Guru. He had a bunch of kids as I was coaching him through it. And I remember us talking, this is years ago, we were talking about Tim Ferriss was kind of talking about the hero's journey for founders and talking about how difficult it was. And Tim didn't have, I don't know if Tim has kids now, but he didn't at the time. And we were kind of laughing. We're like, this dude has no idea, doing this with kids is a whole nother level. So if you're trying to crush it like elite unicorn style CEO with a family and not blow your family up in your personal life while you're doing it, the mindset you need to have and the productivity you need to have, the flow state you need to be able to hold is at an entirely different level. So that's kind of, I get a kick out of that, and just kind of, I love that dual challenge of I want to have a good life and have a good family. I also want to build an amazing company. That's the founder who really has to actually be at the 1%. The one who doesn't have a family and is growing a business, it's hard as hell. Like that's elite. That's very elite too. But the one that has a family and is trying to do the same thing that dude with no family is doing, talk about having to be elite.
Fucking love that, man. You're priming me up because I'm currently in the stage of conceiving with my wife. We have 6 dogs right now, but
that's a lot.
I don't need convincing. I mean, 6 dogs is easy right now. I can tell you it's easy. One kid is
equivalent to like a kid.
At least one, right? At least one.
Not the early stage of having a kid, but maybe at 4.
Yeah, dude, I believe you. I mean, I told you about my friend yesterday that with his kids, he moved in Costa Rica and he told me like people, Ironmans, ultra runs. No, the last 2 weeks for him has been pure hell, and he's going through that. And that's a very successful dude, multi-million-dollar business and still like entertaining his dreams. But I could see it in his face, man. He was like, he was destroyed. I was like, dude, things are going to be better. Give it like a week or 2.
Effective family and an effective family, meaning having kids that are successful, that you're giving enough attention to, that you're carting around everywhere for their activities and growing a business. It takes a successful startup takes everything.
Everything. Yeah. Like, I don't need convincing. I know.
And having a good relationship with your wife.
Prioritizing
that and prioritizing your own self and soul, like to keep that stable. Like, it is an everything.
How come we're not selling Dreamfuel that way?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean that we've been selling to like serial founders, but why not sell to like founders with families that are trying to be elite in all facets of their lives?
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that would be a huge, yeah, proposition there. I think we'd
it's
get.
true. I love working with them. I love working with the founder who doesn't have a family as well, though. I personally, I've been in both. Like I built my first startup that was high growth when I didn't have a family, and I'm building this one with a family. They're different experiences. This one's much more enriching. Like I enjoy this one more. Like believe it or not, like the founding a company on your own where it's 100% of your focus with no grounding of a family, none of that stuff. It has its own ridiculously tough hero's journey because you get very ungrounded.
Yes.
Everything is attached to that goal, meaning like you really do the highs and lows of like if the business ain't working, you're in a real dark place. But when you have
Yeah.
a family, if the business isn't working so hot, you got all this goodness supporting you.
True. Yeah, it's like the athlete getting injured and losing his full identity, right?
But I mean
And
that niche, or that it's like how deep you want to niche down. I mean, we serve both. They both have their own nuances.
but what I like about what you're building and is the holisticness of it. What you're building in business is also serving you in your family and your relationship. And I think that's genius. I think that's the number one recipe in scaling at an elite level, all facets of your life. If you're fucking building a business that is serving Facebook ads to realtors, that is so niche, and the skills that you will learn from that and transpose into your family aren't going to be much, right?
Well,
But
I
if
think
you're building a neuroscience business that's teaching you how to stay calm, how to develop your EQ, and you're making money at the same time, aka like an ikigai business, I think that's the number one way to do it. Do you
once
agree?
you're talking about, we started talking about buckets when we started this conversation, and you identified that some of those buckets have synergies and overlaps. I mean, certainly when I decided to build a mental performance company focused on neuroscience, a subject I love and was doing anyway, whether I found this business or not, I was trying to bring the buckets together a little bit. And
I
yeah,
know.
better I am as a coach, the more I'm forced to exercise this stuff through trial and error in business, the more I put myself under pressure, having another kid, whatever it may be, the better I get in my own consciousness, my own journey, the closer I get to God, the closer I get to elite mental performance. So there is that win-win thing of like founding a business in an industry you like that is aligned with other goals outside of just making money.
I think I lost you there. Sorry. But yeah, speak again, Kev. Just see.
Yeah, I was saying when you can derive a business that is aligned with other buckets outside of just making money, there's huge benefits to that, and I've definitely experienced that with Dreamfuel.
Yeah, then let's bring this to an end. Have another meeting, probably you on your side as well.
Yeah.
I started CO Unit that's gonna teach kids how to be founders. That's my way of like blending the buckets, or
Beautiful.
at least an early step. We can talk about that later. Where can people find out more about you, Kev?
Yeah, you can go to dreamfuel.com or just connect me on LinkedIn, Kevin James Bailey on LinkedIn.
I was Kevin.